Well, hello and welcome to another Faith, Philosophy and Life with me, Mr. Shelton. It's great that you're joining me back again in my classroom. Well, hopefully some of us will be there very soon. But we shall wait and see what happens, because who knows what's going to happen next week, because life changes so quickly. Anyway, last lesson we looked at the Torah, we looked at the written law. It's kind of like your examination specification, where the examiners give you a list of things that you need to know, and then it is up for us, the teachers, to explain that to you, to add funny little stories, anecdotes, and to expand on that information so that you there are able to answer D-mark questions with a nice evaluation showing a full breadth and depth of knowledge, using quotes and all the other things that we've looked at and talked about. You see, examinations are far more than just the specification. And that the Jewish law is far more than just the 613 mitzvot in the Torah or the rest of the Tanakh. They are also the oral law, and today we're going to think about the oral law, which by that I mean the Talmud. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to open a word of prayer. Okay, so with no further ado, go and grab a pen and paper, and here is our cheesy intro music. Okay, so last lesson before, we started to think a little bit about the Ten Commandments, and I want you to see which of the Ten Commandments you can remember. Pause me if you need to. Okay, so here are the ways that I remember them. 1. There is one God. 2. No two-timing. Don't put anything before God. 3. Father, Son and Holy Spirit. I know that's not Judaism, but don't misuse God's name. 4. Imagine an old style number 4 on its side. It's like a deck chair. Have a day of rest. 5. You go up to your parents, you say, give me a fiver. Well, that's not showing respect, so that's kind of why 5 is respect your parents. 6. It's kind of like a hangman's noose. Okay, so imagine a stick man hanging from a hangman's noose. 6, do not murder. 7, on its side is a bed. Yeah, that's do not commit adultery. 8, on its side is a pair of handcuffs. 9, buzz. Everybody needs good 9 And 10 is, let's do that right. There we are. So 10 is fat and thin. Okay, quite often fat people and thin people are jealous of each other. I don't know, that's just how I remember them. You don't have to remember them the same way at all. So Moses is given the 10 Commandments, and then the question's then asked, who's up for the next 603? And actually what the Talmud does is it tries to explain how those 613 mitzvot actually apply for today's world and previous days' worlds as well. So our title today is why do Jews need the Talmud? Why do Jews need the Talmud? And our learning objective is to explore how Jews use the Talmud. So our literary objective today is to consider how to interrogate a text. It's a really important skill for English, that you look at a text and you come at it from different angles, and we'll be looking for you to do exactly the same with the Torah or the Talmud. So a good outcome would be if you can explain what the Talmud is and how Jews might interpret it. Great if you can share how the Talmud is used by Jews and how it guides their lives. Even better if you can use specialist key terms correctly and the main sections of the Talmud. Okay, so today we're going to extract information through some listening, and we're going to do a little bit of reflection thinking as well. So behind me then you can see sort of the overview of what we're going to do. We've done our 10 already. There's going to be a media clip and some questions. I'm going to ask you to interrogate some stuff, and then there'll be an exam question to finish with. And you can see just behind my head there that this is actually the end of the Jewish belief section. So we've covered a lot so far virtually, and we'll continue to cover the rest of the course for those of you who are not back in school. So the first thing I'd like you to do is to click on the description below and to load up this worksheet. Okay, now what we're going to do is I'm going to play to you a media clip. I'm really sorry, I can't reference where I've got this from. It really is a random clip from YouTube because I found it a few years back and it was the best that I could find. It is very bizarre, but it is also extremely good at giving the information that you need. So download the question sheet, which is behind me. Access that through the description below, and when you've done that, continue playing, and hopefully you will then see the media clip.
Listen to this. Two chimney sweeps come out of a chimney. One's all black, the other's all white. The question I'm asking you is which one will go wash himself? Well, the black one, obviously. That's not much of a riddle. I'm sorry, but you were not made to understand the Talmud. Why not? You're not thinking the one who came out black sees that the other came out white, so naturally he believes he too is clean and white, whereas the one who came out white sees that the other is black, so he believes he must be just as black himself. You mean that the white one will go take a bath, not the black one? No, you're still not thinking. The white one who thinks is black sees a black one who thinks is white, whereas the black one sees a white one who thinks is black. In that case, then neither of them take a bath. Why shouldn't both of them go take a bath? I'm asking the same question. You're asking the same question. You say, come on now, since when has a chimney sweep ever come out of a chimney all white? Huh? That's a good question.
No, the Talmud is not just a book of riddles. It's much worse than that, or much better. It depends on your point of view. Orthodox Jews look upon the Talmud as their daily bread. Almost as soon as they are weaned, boys begin to sample these writings, the purpose of which is to reveal the true meaning of the Bible, teasing sense from its paradoxes and contradictions. If Adam had no earthly parent, did he have a belly button? Did fish survive the great flood? Why did Jacob's angels need a ladder to reach heaven? If God could create the world in 6 days, why couldn't he do it in 1, or in an hour, or better yet, in a single instant? These are riddles of another kind. The Talmudic method for understanding the Bible consists of challenging and questioning each and every biblical assertion. The word Talmud is short for the expression Talmud Torah, which simply means the study of the Torah. Torah is the Hebrew term for the Pentateuch, the first 5 books of the Bible. As for the Talmud, it is composed of volumes containing centuries of rabbinical discussions about how to interpret contradictions in the biblical text. For the rabbis, the Bible is simply an immense metaphor, a source of wisdom which, when distilled by their understanding, provides instructions for daily life. In other words, they had to invent an amazing analytical structure to succeed in deciphering the laws of kashrut from the myth of the forbidden fruit, the foundations of linguistics from the story of the Tower of Babel, and the principles of human freedom from the tale of the Exodus from Egypt. Without the Torah, there would be no Talmud. But without the Talmud, the Torah would be mysterious indeed. In the synagogue, it is customary to open the Torah scrolls 3 times a week and to bring the biblical text to life by reading them. But another way of giving life to the text is to discover its various interpretations. That is the purpose of the Talmud. For centuries, sages have been adding written interpretations to the Talmud. Thus, rather than a single book, it is a series of several books which have accumulated over the course of time. A book inside a book inside a book, almost infinitely. A book without a single author. A book to which all the sages of all time have contributed as authors. Every field of human knowledge is covered, for the Torah itself encompasses them all, though that may not immediately be apparent to the reader.
The Talmud says, "My teaching is like the sea. To learn to swim, you must dive in." The same is true of the Torah. Only he who plunges in, braving the risk of drowning, can learn what it is.
An ocean of light. This is how the Talmud describes the Torah. The Talmud is immersed in the Torah, exploring its depths. As it probes and questions, it finally touches upon the fundamental subjects of the meaning of life, the links between the instant and eternity, and many other essential issues and values that philosophy and science later examined in their own way. But unlike philosophy and science, the Talmud is not austere. It also knows how to laugh at itself.
Let's back up a minute. The white chimney sweep sees a black sweep, who sees a white sweep who thinks is black, and the black one sees a white one who sees a black one who thinks is white. It's not so simple, is it? Wrong! It is simple. The white sweep can hold up his hand and see that it's white, and the black one can do the same and see that his hand is black. Do you mean to say that the one who sees his hand is clean will not go and bathe, and the one who sees his hand is dirty will? Too easy. You may be clean yet still want to wash, and you may be dirty yet not feel like washing. Look at me, for instance. Well, I know.
In the year 70 of the Common Era, Titus had torn down the Temple of Jerusalem, and Roman troops had been occupying the holy city of the Jews. Most of the sages had fled to the north, to Galilee, near the town of Tiberias. The Romans had become determined to put an end to Judaism. To avert such a catastrophe, a group of sages initiated one of the most remarkable developments in the history of the humanities, the elaboration of the Talmud. Their guide was Rabbi Judah Hanasi, Judah the Prince, a widely revered leader of the Jewish community of his time, a wise man among wise men. Today, his grave lies in the heart of Galilee, the cradle of his life work. Until then, generation after generation of wise men had been learning by heart the dialogues of the ancient masters, adding their own commentaries as they went. This collective oral history was always in danger of being scattered and lost, especially as the volume of commentary was ever growing. To avoid such a tragedy, Rabbi Judah Hanasi took radical action. He recommended that nearly 2 centuries of memorized oral teachings be compiled as a written document. He dictated the framework, form, and boundaries of this first sum of knowledge and named it the Mishnah. Mishnah means repetition, as the mission was essentially to repeat in writing the wisdom that had grown too large to be memorized. The immense task was only completed 2 centuries after his death. The Mishnah makes up the first part of the Talmud and was finished in the year 220 of the Common Era. The Talmud is organized according to the structure Rabbi Judah Hanasi gave the Mishnah. 6 orders covering the entire spectrum of human knowledge. These 6 orders are divided into 73 tractates, themselves divided into chapters, of which there are some 523. Every aspect of life is covered.
God made the world in 6 days, and Rabbi Judah sorted it into 6 orders. 6 orders like the 6 cardinal directions. 6 orders of creation. 6 orders which distill all the knowledge ever conceived by the human mind.
In 6 orders, the Talmud is an endeavor to encompass all that is knowable, just as 6 directions define the boundaries of the cosmos. 6 manuscripts became the basis for the laws and customs of the Jewish people. 6 orders which offer nothing less than a user's manual for life in the world.
Zeraim, the order of seeds, wherein the laws of germination and thus the principles of vitality in all its forms are discussed. Moed, the order of festivals, wherein the laws of time, the calendar, the Sabbath, and other ceremonies are discussed. Nashim, the order of women or wives, concerns the laws governing matrimony, family life, and society in general. Nezikin, the order of damages, discusses issues related to crime and punishment of various degrees of gravity, as well as idolatry. Kodashim, the order of holy things, the laws of the Temple of Jerusalem, its measurements, architecture, organization, types of offerings and service. Tehorot, the order of purities, a discussion of all the laws related to ritual purity.
But the elaboration of the Talmud was an ongoing project. The sages continued their task of questioning the writings. Gradually, the Mishnah was supplemented by new commentaries which accumulated over the centuries. This body of the Talmud is called the Gemara. Gemara means completion in Hebrew. As time went on, this commentary became so long that it now makes up over 90% of the Talmud. Thus, from the 3rd to the 7th century of the Common Era, the Talmud, according to the 6 orders set forth by Rabbi Judah Hanasi, evolved into the form it has today. The Mishnah, written in Hebrew, followed by the Gemara, written in Aramaic, the language spoken by all the Talmudic scholars of the time.
Okay, so welcome back. So what we've said is a good outcome if you explain what the Talmud is and how Jews may interpret it, and hopefully now you've got some ideas about what the Talmud is. It's an explanation of the Torah, and a great outcome would be if you can share how the Talmud is used by Jews and how it guides their lives. So again, maybe you've started to get the idea now that the Talmud is there to try and help identify some of the things that Jews try to live with day by day. So we've done our 10, we've done our media club questions, and now we're going to just get a little bit more information. So again, back in that description, hopefully the tab's still loaded in another window, you'll find another sheet on the Talmud there. Now you'll see that there's a few different versions of that. There's a really challenging version, there's one that's more straightforward, and there's one with a little bit more support there. I'd like you to read over it, and I'd like you to extract 5 or 6 key points. So you're going to identify which bits you think are the most important, and I'd like you to come up with 5 or 6 more points about the Talmud there. So read that over and then come back. So we're now going to have a quick look at this mitzvah and see how the Talmud might approach this. Now, the law is taken from the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 24, verse 6, and it is this: not to take in pledge utensils used in preparing food. Not to take in pledge utensils preparing food. That's the Torah rule. So the first thing then that we need to do is we need to understand what is this law about. So let's write that law down in your books now in the middle of your page. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is to put a circle around preparing food. Okay, so preparing food, you're going to need to think about what does that mean? And basically you're going to be writing some questions around that circle about what preparing food could be. Is it, for example, preparing food for animals? Is it preparing food for people? Is it preparing food for yourself? And what the Talmud seeks to do is to explain that particular element of that verse. Okay, let's also look, continue with this, okay, utensils. So write down now what you understand by the term utensil. Again, pause this clip now to do that and then come back to me. Okay, so a utensil could be like a fork or a knife or a spoon, or a utensil could be a frying pan. Well, I mean, that's obviously a 21st century idea. Or a utensil could be a stick, or it could be flint, which is used to start a fire off. That's all. They're all things that utensils could be. You may well have some other things written down there as well. Okay, our next word, I'm working backwards, I get that, is pledge. So again, put a circle around the word pledge and write down what you understand by the term pledge. Okay, so a pledge was, can I borrow this from you and I will give you this until I return it. So, can I borrow your sheep and I will give you my frying pan until I return your sheep to you. Okay, a little bit of an extreme example, but that's what a pledge is. If can I do this and you can have this on loan? You can have this and to prove that I'm going to give you it back. Now, that's what a pledge is. But here you can see that you can't pledge kitchen utensils or any other form of utensils that are used to prepare food. And then obviously we need to understand what preparing food is. Now the first part is not to take. Okay, so does that put the onus on the person who's being pledged or the pledger, if you're with me? Does that take the onus on the person who's pledging it or on the person who is the person who's loaning the thing that's being pledged? So this is basically what the Talmud seeks to do. It seeks to explain what each particular law means and how that looks for today. Okay, so what I'd like you to do now is, taking the principle we've just discussed, is to go and look at two more mitzvot which we have already looked at in our time together. So though it might be, for example, do not murder or keep the Sabbath day holy. Either way, I'd like you now to look back at the mitzvot lesson, look back at the Torah lesson, look at the Jewish laws we've already looked at, choose two of them, and explain what those laws mean in your own words, create an example of how they affect Jews today, and comment about what would the world be like if everyone followed those rules. And I'd like you to interrogate that like we've just done with that previous law. Not to take a pledge utensils in preparing food, not to take in pledge utensils used in preparing food. And if you can do that, what you've just done there, with these two, that's a long way ahead of what the Talmud was used for. So just give that a go now and then come back to me. Okay, so our learning objective today was to explore how Jews used the Talmud. We said a good outcome would be if you could explain what the Talmud was and how Jews interpret it. Hopefully we've got that now. A great outcome if you could share how the Talmud's used by Jews and how it guides their lives. Again, hopefully we're well on the way of doing that. And even better if we can use some specialist key terms correctly. So we've covered our 10, our media clip and our interrogate, and now we're going to be looking at our exam question. Do not panic, it's not a long one. What I'd like you to do is a C-style question, is I'd like you to answer this question behind me. Explain why Jewish scriptures are important. Obviously this is for the EDUCAS exam board. Other exam boards will have similar questions to this. Explain why Jewish scriptures are important. So that is both the written Torah and the oral Torah, the stuff we did last week and the stuff we've done this week. And I suggest that you do 2 peak paragraphs for that: point, evidence, explanation and change. Okay, and you do that twice. So you might do 1 paragraph on the Torah and 1 paragraph on the Talmud, for example, or 1 paragraph on the Tanakh and 1 paragraph on the Talmud. But why is it that those scriptures are important to Jews? So pause me now. This should take you about 8 minutes, and give yourself a go on that C-style question. Okay, so let's just have a very quick look on how that will be marked then. I always draw your attention to the bottom paragraph of each of these marking grids to start you off. For a band 1, which is 1 to 2 mark, you use specialist or religious terms and or sources of authority in a limited way. So you're looking for specialist terms in there, but maybe just once. For a band 2, you're using specialist key terms generally accurately, so you'll put them in the right context. You might have a quote in there which isn't explained. For a band 3, which is 5 to 6, you're using specialist key terms accurately and appropriately, so you're using the correct terms, and you're using sources of wisdom or authority. You're using quotes, you're explaining those. They have to be in there for a band 3. And for a band 4, you're using a range of sources accurately and appropriately and extensively, as well as a quote in there, maybe 2 quotes which are explained. The other thing that you're looking at is the word limited, good, very good or excellent. You can see at the start of each of those banding brackets. So is your answer limited? Is it really short? Is it good? So does it have one paragraph, maybe two paragraphs, but short paragraphs? Does it have two big paragraphs? That would be potentially your very good or your excellent, which is obviously excellent by definition of the term. So what I'd like you now to do is to have a look over your answer and set yourself a couple of targets of what you think you could do differently next time. Okay, so just coming into land then, just as we finish off today's session. Hopefully now we've securely achieved these learning outcomes. If there's anything you're still not sure about, may I suggest you do a tiny more bit of research on it. And this is sort of our conclusion, okay? Do not murder, one of the 10 Commandments. That's what it says in the written law in the Torah. Now, these are some questions that you might want to address, and this is basically what we've done today. So do not murder, does that mean do not kill, or just do not murder, and what's the difference? If you're not sure, look back at the 10 Commandments that we did. Does it mean do not murder humans, or does it mean do not murder animals and humans? And does it therefore mean that I have to be a vegetarian? I hope not. Isn't a soldier a murderer? Does that mean then that we should never go to war? Does that mean that by going to war then my government is guilty of murder? These are all things the Talmud might start to ask, and this is certainly an approach the Talmud might take. Maybe it's not a religious law, maybe it's just an obvious law because society would break down. And lastly, when might a murder be okay? Should someone have murdered Hitler before the Second World War, for example? So they're all things that I would like you to think about when we look at the do not murder. And you'll find that the Jewish Torah is maybe not quite as straightforward as you may have been led to believe when I did the session last time. So this is our conclusion. Do not steal. I'd like you to have a go at doing do not steal as if it was the Talmud. So you're looking back at this sort of style with do not steal. I shall leave that with you. Thank you very much for your time. Take care of yourselves. Stay safe. Wash hands. God bless. And hopefully I'll see some of you back in the classroom real soon.